Hey, Bethlehem, this is Pastor Paul. This past Sunday, we continued on with our sermon series, God with Us, as we lit the candle of joy for Advent. Now, remember, Advent is the season where we intentionally do things to prepare our hearts and our minds to celebrate Christmas. And as we celebrate Christmas, we prepare for the return of Jesus. Because in Jesus, we receive hope. In Jesus, we receive peace. And in Jesus, we receive joy. See, joy is a gift. Often we try to manufacture joy. We try to create joy. But that type of joy never lasts. But the joy that we receive from Jesus is a joy that should stay with us. This is what the Apostle Paul wrote in Colossians chapter 1, verses 11 and 12. We also pray that you will be strengthened with all his glorious power, so that you will have the endurance and patience you need. May you be filled with joy, always thanking the Father. He has enabled you to share in the inheritance that belongs to his people who live in light. Paul says, hey, I want you to live with joy. But for you to have joy, God needs to fill you with his glorious power, that you need to be strengthened with that. That you will have endurance to make it through all the different circumstances in life. See, Jesus came and he brings us joy, a joy that's not dependent on our circumstances. The joy that Jesus brings is greater than our circumstances because it focuses not on what's happening around us, but it's focusing on the promise of Jesus. It is focusing on what he has called us to do. Not only is the joy that Jesus brings greater than our circumstances, but it's also greater than fear. Paul, towards the end of his life, writing to the Philippians, says, hey, I have joy in spite of knowing my death is close. See, he didn't fear his death because he knew where his hope was. He could look past his fear. He could look past his death and look forward to what Jesus had promised him. And that gave him joy. Even in the midst of the struggle, even in the midst of the doubt, he could find joy. Not only is this joy that Jesus brings greater than our circumstances, greater than our fear, it's also greater than our sin. In Romans, Paul says, hey, he quotes from the Psalms and what David wrote, that joyful is the man whose sin is forgiven, whose sin has been washed away. See, we are no longer defined by our sin. That when we put our faith in Jesus, Jesus takes away our sin. Not only our past sin, but our present sin and our future sin. Jesus takes it away. Our identity is not rooted in our sin, it's rooted in Jesus. And for that, we can have joy no matter what else happens to us. And so, our big idea from Sunday was this. The first coming of Jesus gives us a reason to choose joy as we wait for his return. The first coming of Jesus gives us a reason to choose joy as we wait for his return. Remember, joy is ultimately a choice. It's a choice that we make to believe and trust in the promises of God, regardless of what's happening around us. And so our challenge this week is to spend time each day worshiping God, focusing on God, on what he has done for us, so that we can truly live with joy. Hey, Bethlehem, I hope you have a great week. Remember, we have our community prayer time on Saturday at 10 o'clock here at church. We also have a special Christmas breakfast on Sunday morning, so hope to see you there at 9 o'clock. Hey, have a great rest of the week. God bless.